Hello, I'm CJ. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana. Across the Red River is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. And, um, lots of fun things. Art Break is ending. There's all sorts of things going on. I was looking in a local magazine that talked about all sorts of things. Uh, so, um, but I'm going to talk about my painting a little bit because I'm still doing some work on it. I kind of showed what I was doing here in some interludes, and I was working with some whites. And once I lifted all the titanium white with this water, these little tins are great as far as and they're disposable. When you're done painting, you can just get rid of them, or you could just keep using them. But they're great. Um, but to get a nice watercolory effect, which is what I want to do now, and that's loaded onto the brush. Now let's go to the canvas. You can see where I'm building that horizon in the background on this water. But what I want to do is I want to work with still smoothing. So literally what I would be doing is I would be holding this and taking the watercolor and just kind of like dusting it lightly. And the harder I press on the brush, the more liquid comes out of the brush. And it's easier to do. But what my goal is to take this blue that I started with and have that be kind of an undercurrent color, but bring more of a grayish. And I'll gradually be working with gray, and then letting some of the uh, brighter whites be kind of like my guide as to where I'm going to work with having some light beyond this. And we can see the more detail I'm coming with it right here. Maybe I'm feeling a little bit too choppy. I'm going to take a little of that and kind of tone it down. In general, the whole idea is to uh, make it a little bit smoother, but still show some current and still let some light work with it. So, we're not only working with light and shadow in theory, we're working with density of paint. This is a thicker, less watery paint. This is extremely textured titanium that I've kind of done some outlining with, and then I've gotten some titanium white and thalio blue blended with water to a very liquidy, and just kind of like smoothing it over. And also we can see where we're playing with some perspective. Not only is this higher up as the water is flowing, it kind of gives a perspective that this end of uh, whatever's going on maybe a little bit closer, just a touch more than what's going on over to the left side. How fun is that? Okay, so it's actually flowing, but flowing a little bit away from us, from our vantage point uh, thus far. Do I know what this story is going to be at the total end of it? No. This is getting revealed to me as it is to you. Now, literally, what I'm going to do at this point when I want to continue working in close is I'll actually pick this up and work with one hand holding it and one hand kind of dusting. Now, this is the exact same brush that I've been using. So let me put this on pause and I'll see you after the click. One thing, as I'm working, if I drop a little acrylic paint, I want to get it up as soon as possible because everything in my apartment, the floor, the table, everything, it's either wood or wooden tones. Yeah. But where I'm working and what I've been doing, you have to understand this is it from really close up. But what I'm doing is I'm working at this point basically with just a tinted water, and so very thin applications uh, over and over again until I get the texture of the water. But you see how it's smoothing out? There's color. See, that smoothing that I did made this. There's still things playing around on the surface of this water as it's moving about. And its natural currents move in different. They have a heavy flow, a current but then there's on top of those currents that are flowing down, there's all these little microcurrents that play on top of each other, depending upon how those little bits of water, how the particles are playing against each other, because as each individual water has the same molecular weight, each group of those molecules of water moving in synchronicity may have more potential becoming actual energy than another current, and that accounts for a little backsplash here and there, in water. Also, things happening under the water, any sort of life that might be happening. But this is getting closer to what I want. Now, it does not have to look exactly like the river in my picture. It just has to get to a point that I feel comfortable, and I'm certainly getting there. I will probably put just a touch of white and yellow to make like various shades of green once I get into seeing what the light in the sky is going to be. Or do I really want to do that? Or do I want to go with a straight orange of a sunset coming in the west, or a sunrise either from the east side, depending upon where we're standing and what's going on. This is kind of cool. If I had to at this point, this was expressionistic enough of water that I could be satisfied with what's going on here and I could move on. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep working, because I want motion. I want to display this, and but I want smooth motion. I don't want a choppy river. I want a smooth flowing river, maybe with a little weight behind it flowing down. Like our Red River flows into the Mississippi at some point, and and we've been getting a lot of rain here, so we've been getting a lot, a higher river, and it does flow, and I love that, but it's not, provided it doesn't like flood anybody out of their homes or whatever. I don't want a natural disaster just so something can look beautiful. But water is a powerful force of nature, and when you don't live next to a powerful river or a larger lake that has a lot of life and movement and everything, and maybe it's easy to forget that. Like maybe if you live near a small pond or something, or maybe like a little swimming hole or something like that, that's a runoff, maybe you can forget. But water is vital to life. Water, like God, giveth, and water taketh away. If to go personification of an element. And I do believe that, think of it like this: the largest organ of the human body is the skin. And I'm on, I would like to say that, it's hard to say. I was about to say, hey, but then I was like, well, I'm discounting air, I'm discounting land. But there's four major elements. Fire, which is of transformation. It creates a chemical change. Water can do that too. It's a solvent, but that typically is a physical change. But depending upon how the depending upon how the electrons and neutrons and protons all interact with each other, and even breaking it down into quantums and everything, breaking it down to quarks and possibly, well, then I was like, for a moment I had to pause and check something out. Hang on. Okay, I'm good. Like for a moment I thought this was a speck of paint that somehow I had gotten on my curtain, because I'm painting close to the window today. We had an a brief power. Well, I say brief, it was out for a couple of hours as they did some repair to a pole nearby. Um, but yeah, I thought for somehow some paint had gotten on that first somehow, whatever. Anyway, I thought that some paint had gotten on that curtain because I've been moving it open. I find it easier instead of opening the curtains on the rod. I find it easier just to pull the curtain back a little bit and kind of prop them open or tie them open. So because most of the time I keep them closed. I used to be kind of like LED lights all outside and everything, but like I've kind of a lot more people are doing that, and it's like that is great. That's cool. I was the first down here residentially that I know of that was doing that, and now that people are following the trend, I need to do something else, like I don't know, create a blackout so that when I'm walking, I don't have to look in people's windows because I don't want to accidentally see anything. Everybody's okay. Residentially, remember this, and I've got a large TV screen too. You want to keep it away from your windows because people don't want to watch what you're watching, especially if you're watching like an R-rated film or something like that. I don't think they do too much in the way of like adult movies, like they don't do like the Skinamax movies or uh, the HBO After Dark kind of stuff. But even then, nobody wants to see that through your window. Maybe some crazy teens or something, but whatever. Keep your TV screen out of your window. Especially, I watch a lot of horror and action adventure, and people are always dying on my TV screen, and I don't want that to accidentally be seen by people peeking. Kids can't help it; they're nosy. So maybe I can start a close your window screen. It's kind of like the apartment version of Good Neighbors and Good Fences, or whatever. But anyway, and then as the water dries, because right now this has to do a lot of drying before I can really continue, because there are different patches of different shades of the Thalio blue and the different combinations of the white and everything. And so when it's dry is where I will know where I will need to add more, uh, and then at some point, just adding a thin watercolor to this particular canvas is not going to work. But yeah, but it is looking smoother. It is looking smoother, and that is what I want. And I don't know. I may take another day or so, a couple of days break from this. The day started for me. I woke up, I met my sister and her partner. We went to this place called the Cotton Bowl. It's a local diner. We love it. And they did a Cajun themed breakfast. And I posted a short video of it, but just to tell you here, it was awesome. It was my break from my keto, and I really stuck with my keto until this morning, until I was there having it. And we got there, and it was maybe around 10 or 10:30 by the time we got served in the AM, So, yeah, because we were running a little bit later than I thought. So, but with my sisters, and I call them both my sisters, even though they're partners. My sister and the partner of my sister is my sister, whatever. So what happens is, I don't know. I love them dearly. Most of the people I know, they're not about being like on time. They're about being like late. Like if they, like if it's a social thing, it's like, okay, it's an approximate and it's late. Well, that's all good and fine, unless it's time sensitive, such as I remember one time making a video because I was stressing out because we were going to a concert. First, we had to go to a friend's kind of birthday party, and then we met at a restaurant and had like brought in a birthday cake and sat around and had dinner and everything like that. And then we went to the concert, but it was like waiting for the ride to get there. It was like, God, it's stressful to wait on people when they're not where where they say they're going to be, uh, even if it's just a social thing. But in some cases where it's time sensitive because we want to get to a concert and everything. But everything did work out. It's just that we didn't have as much time to, uh, savor the dinner because we had to eat the dinner and then get into the cake and then get the bill paid and get the hell out. And it would have been nicer to take a little bit more leisurely time, but whatever. But what did we do? We ended up going to see, Foreigner. That was the Foreigner concert. Uh, is that far back in my YouTube? I think it might be. I think it might be. I don't think I posted that to. That was right after I started doing YouTube videos instead of Facebook because I was just about or had just switched over to YouTube rather than Facebook, which was starting up that meta bullshit. I don't know. I still don't know what that is. But if y'all do, good luck. Run with it. That, let me tell you, when I closed down that Facebook, I don't think I've talked about it, but it's been a while. My Facebook went all the way back to, it was not when they were first starting out, but it was when the first 4G phones were coming out. Not the 4G LTE, which is long-term evolution. And I used to think at first it was 4G and I thought LTE, I thought that meant light. I'm like, oh my God, is this a light version? Is this a half-ass version of 4G? I used to get pissed off about that until I learned to educate myself. And I don't feel bad about me being ridiculously stupid about that because nobody working in the industry that I spoke with knew what it meant either. And they were the ones, that were supposed to know this stuff. So whatever. So anyway, yeah. But anyway, but not even the 4G LTE, but the very first when 3G switched over and they started doing more 4G. That's your Android, your earliest Android phones. And I think Droid actually came out before the Android, but I think they were like 3G on their way to. But anyway, that's when my niece talked to me about, you can download a Facebook app and you can interact and you can start texting. And it was a lot like Twitter at the time. Tweets. So, and I didn't need 500,000, or I'm joking. I didn't need 4 or 5 social medias. So I just had that one account and I kept it. I kept that same account and forever and forever until I closed it down. And what had happened was there were I don't know, I had somewhere in the vicinity of 2,000 followers. But you know how Facebook was, especially early on, people would start their Facebook account and they would basically just abandon it and leave it and start a new one because they broke up and maybe they didn't know how to delete the old account or something like that, And it does. When I closed out my Facebook account, it took a good 2 months for them to finally get rid of it. And in the midst of that, and I think somebody at Meta must have known about this or whatever. Once I closed it, as soon as I closed it and decided not to do it, that's when somehow it got copied. And there was a thing going around that one of those fundraising GoFundMe kind of things. And it's like, really? And it was like I was dying or something like that and needed medical equipment or something. And people that were friends that knew me and everything, because I was very active. Like at this point I'm very interactive. If you've seen in my comments, if people comment, I'll comment back. I'm very active with the people I follow and the people who follow me. You know, I try to be. I try to foster those relationships. And when I say that, I'm not opposed to. It's not a make believe thing. Like if you are passing through Shreveport, you know, we can stop for a cup of coffee. Or if for some reason you just find out that I'm going to be traveling through your area, and you never know, I might be one day. Yeah, we can meet up and have brunch or something. I don't care. Uh, I don't care because when I form uh, an association, it's the same thing online as it is in social media, and that's kind of cool. See how talking about painting will get me to uh, get onto a philosophy about something else. They've said that it's not natural to have thousands of people as friends. Well, I didn't. You know, some of the accounts were duplicate accounts. I knew this one guy that I don't know, like he would just forget his password, and so basically he would just start a new account, like 6 or 7 accounts with this one guy, and it's like, that's one of the reasons why I just kind of realized, okay, I don't really know how many people that I have. I'm not going to go through and you know, correlate who's got multiple accounts and which ones are active and which ones are not. And it was like people would send you the thing, hey, I'm going to this account now, and the other one's going to be closed, and this and that. It's like, oh my God, when you have a couple of hundred people, at least that and uh, a good 20 or 30 people are doing that shit, it's like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. So Facebook I mean, it became like, wow. It became a little bit unrealistic because it is true. Unless you're a celebrity, you don't really know that many people personally. If unless you're in an industry and all this, and um, well, social media has allowed everybody to reach out, and I did meet, and I get to know people from other parts of the world sometimes, and that's kind of cool. However, I don't exchange sensitive information. I still don't. What you hear me talk about in my videos, that's about as personal as I'm gonna get, and I get pretty personal about my living experience, but you know. It's like that old song, California Girls. Well, I think that my hometown is perfect for me. And, a lot of people are like, there's problems with their small town that they live in or whatever. And you know what I think? It's okay to invest of yourself in your hometown and do what you can to increase it, to make it better. Um, do do you talk down about your town or your city? Like, especially with the local politics, you talk it down as if it's hopeless. Oh my God, these people, they're full of crap, this and that. And this, yeah. Or, I don't know. Do you want to invest in your town and your family and the people and you know try to help broaden minds, and knowing that to be a part of any society is to compromise, to some degree. Because, hate to say it, no extreme point of view is good for the world. It's always about a coming together and a compromise of ideologies that fit and work within the society and the culture therein, in which in which it's working. And it works a little bit different from different areas. I was watching a YouTube video, and it was a skit of a Saturday Night Live, and it was the Kissing family. And you start out thinking, oh my God, this family's weird. because they greet and they kiss each other, and they were going overboard with it and making it, hamming it up and everything like that. And then the guy brought his college friend home, and it's like, no, they're gonna give each other pecks here and there as greetings and stuff like that, and and at first the guy felt a little uncomfortable, and then no, the father gave him a little, Saturday Night Live version of a talk of culture, and that was the punchline. Hey, my great grandfather moved here for the right to be able to kiss the family members without being judged for it or something. I don't know, whatever. Like he gave up his job of being a foreigner to come, whatever. I don't know, but it was hilarious because the joke was not about the family that was warm enough to embrace each other and give each other pecks and stuff. It was about the people who were kind of being, feeling off put by ways that are different than our own, whatever. So I don't know. How did I start talking about this? I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I do know that this is going to become a little bit better each time I work about it. Like I said, I'm going to put it away. The water that I just put on, the colored water, to basically tone this down. And if you go back and you look over the last few days in the shorts and stuff like that, the short videos, which I call preludes, and then these longer videos, which I label as episodes in the series called Paintings in Progress, because I work slow. I don't, like I will take a few months per painting sometimes. This might be one of them. It's okay. It is okay to take my time and enjoy it and enjoy the creative process of, in motion and what's in happening. Look, I'm like, a couple. I'm older than two combined generations, and I'm just about to come out with my first book of short poetry. And the only reason I haven't is because I'm actually going to wait until the end of the year to include some thoughts and, what may come. What may come may not come, based upon some traveling experiences that I'm going to have towards the end of September and going into October. So I just want to see what stirs in me about that, and what will be brought to the creative process. And then, then the book will be finished, and then I will find out how to get it self-published digitally through Amazon or something like that. And then but I actually won't promote the book or anything like that. I'll maybe just show it. I'll buy a couple of copies myself or whatever, and then I don't know, because I don't want to, once it's out there, then what I want to do is I don't really want to spend a lot of time promoting it. I want to get busy on the next writing project, which really was the first writing project. Before I was writing poetry, I was composing short stories and making them up in my head. A lot of the play acting that I did as a kid, especially being not an only child, but my older sister was about 2.5, close to 3 years older. So, she kind of grew out of play acting before I did. And I am quite a lover of thespian and play acting. And, I wish that adults could get together. Remember how you're like a little kid and you're on the floor and you're playing with your toys and trucks, and you're like, hey, by the way, why don't you be this and why don't I be that and everything? That's LARPing is just like that, except you actually have the money to invest in costumes. Live action role play, LARPing. We used to do it in a group called Society of Creative Anachronism, but it was more about learning and education than it was just playing, although play was a big part of it, of medieval experiences, the Dark Ages. And sometimes people would call them Renaissance fairs. The truth is it's pre-Renaissance. It is before the Renaissance. Renaissance people had become enlightened, and you know they were waking up to, hey, by the way, maybe we don't need to go around conquering the whole damn world. Maybe we can uh, maybe we can invade socially, right, versus wild conquering. And sometimes that's how it went. Sometimes the Roman armies would roll into a place, and maybe it wouldn't be violence because they were already known to be powerful anyway, but maybe it was, hey, we're here to share our wealth and our experience and our ways. And taking over a land meant taking over through society and culture. There's more than one way to create an invasion. And God, I sound horrible, right? I sound like, what am I doing? Well, infiltrating. But that's what happens first anyway. Uh, you know, Hitler's people, Germans and stuff like that, they nearly took over the world once, and then they nearly did it again. World War One, the Great War, and World War Two, and they would, and it's like, what the hell, but, yeah, I pray one day we'll have peace. My sister was telling me we did our comic books, and she got some stuff called One Piece. It was that's what it is. It was a figure for this character, One Piece, like not piece of, but like peace for, like a world peace kind of peace of mind, not I'm going to give you a piece of my mind, but gee, I now have peace of mind, serenity, one piece. I had to figure out, what do you mean one piece? A piece of what? Whatever. It was so funny. But so anyway, yeah, I do hope that we get to a peaceful coexistence. Love and light, peace. Good night. Oh wait, no, wait, no, hell no, I didn't even get. We had the Cajun brunch, then came home, the lights went out, did a little painting, then I went out and I actually got to go do some shopping for some things that I needed because I was out of dishwasher tabs, and it was like I was damn near close to having to wash dishes by hand, and I've gotten spoiled by having a dishwasher. And some things like that, There's some great stuff called Fabuloso. You guys love this stuff? I love it. It's lavender flavor. I could not find the Odaban. I'm going to have to find that and order it. Maybe they sell it at a different place. But anyway, love and light. Truly, by now. God bless. Good night.